I did not have a chance to respond to.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number of questions. Mr. Secretary, thank you for being here. But first, I wanted to start with a couple of acknowledgments. Beginning with, I was glad to see that you issued a new memo to terminate the Migration Protection Protocols, also known as MPP, in late October, about a month ago. This policy, as we know, has caused a great deal of hardship to individuals who must wait in Mexico for their asylum cases to be processed. In your memo, you mentioned that a more comprehensive approach is needed to address the root causes of migration, and that MPP is not an effective deterrence policy. I think the data, statistics that you've begun to share with this committee is evidence of that. While I understand that MPP cannot be terminated until the Texas court injunction is vacated, I've heard from many stakeholders along the border that there's no way to humanize MPP. I can imagine that these stakeholders have also been invaluable partners in ensuring that migrants are treated with dignity, and it will take a collective effort to reverse the long-lasting effects of MPP. So I implore you once again to rescind MPP as soon as possible. On a second topic, earlier this month, I was happy to see that the department will exempt filing fees and streamline application processing for Afghan evacuees who received humanitarian parole and are already in the United States. While I welcome this news and hope it helps our Afghan allies in their resettlement process so they can build a life here in the United States, we must not forget about those who are still outside the United States. I encourage the department to also waive the fees for those Afghans who are applying for humanitarian parole from outside the U.S. and to work with the State Department to facilitate their travel outside of Afghanistan so that their applications can be processed. I continue to hear from Californians about how helpful a fee waiver would be. I also sent a letter along with 26 of my colleagues, including many on this committee, making this exact request, which I would like to enter into the record. I urge the department to continue offering support to our Afghan allies inside and outside the U.S. Now to my questions. The first, which is a follow-up to something we've heard a lot from my Republican colleagues today, and that's about the increasing number of migrant encounters. Now, if I understand correctly, this is the third consecutive month of border encounters actually decreasing. So would you like to comment on this or shed some light or clarity on the more recent statistics and trends?
Thank you, Senator Padilla. We have indeed instituted certain practices, not just along the border, but also with our partners south of the border that have, in fact, borne fruit in terms of a reduced number of encounters of migrants along the southern border, whether it is enforcement measures, whether it is safe and orderly alternative pathways where people would not need to take the perilous journey and it can apply for relief from where they are. There are a number of measures, and I would be pleased to spend time with you sharing with you all of the measures we have taken.
Okay, we'd appreciate that and would certainly welcome that. Now, as this is an oversight hearing, I want to ask about some disturbing reports around the conduct and actions of Custom and Border Protection agents. A recent letter sent by the Southern Border Communities Coalition raises significant concerns about critical incident teams within the agency that are interfering with law enforcement investigation of CBP agents. According to the letter, these teams have been operating for decades and investigating their own agents without authority and may be obstructing justice by shielding agents from accountability. One case in particular that is especially concerning to me involves Anastasio Hernandez Rojas, who was a longtime resident of San Diego and a father of 5. In 2010, Anastasio was hogtied, brutally beaten, and repeatedly tased by border agents until he stopped breathing. The police record reveals that after the incident, Border Patrol agents destroyed, altered, and withheld evidence from the San Diego Police Department. This incident did not happen in a vacuum. Border Patrol abuses were displayed all over national media, more recently with the concerning treatment of Haitian migrants in Del Rio, Texas. I know how much you, Mr. Secretary, value integrity, and I hope you share my concerns that there are serious questions that need to be answered to protect the integrity of the agency. Secretary Mayorkas, what measures has the Department of Homeland Security taken towards addressing serious abuses of power surrounding these critical incident teams?
So there are a few things, if I may. First of all, Senator, I am immensely proud to work alongside the men and women of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and that includes the U.S. Border Patrol. They do heroic work, putting their lives at risk to keep the American people safe each and every day. And the misconduct of one does not define the heroism and integrity of the great majority of the men and women. You know, this Friday we are going to be conducting a public engagement because we do not tolerate misconduct in any part of our workforce, whether that's U.S. Customs and Border Protection or any corner of the Department of Homeland Security. We're going to have a public engagement this coming Friday to discuss transparency and accountability in Customs and Border Protection. That is hosted by and propelled by the leadership of that agency. We take great pride in our workforce, and we will root out misconduct wherever it occurs.
Okay, I look forward to continuing to work with you on this.
Thank you, Senator.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Padilla. Senator Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Mayorkas, thank you for being here, and I hope you're recovering well from your bout